Thank you, Mr. President. This morning, colleagues, I will be brief. Like Elizabeth Taylor said to her fifth husband, I won't be with you long now. Senate Resolution 838 is duplicitous in its intent because this is already enshrined in Article 2, Section 1 of our state constitution. And so I just take issue with a couple of things. And if the senator from the 27th had talked to me about this resolution before he introduced it, we may have been able to talk a little bit more about those who are falling under paragraph 3, which is not in this bill, that says exceptions to right to register and vote. No person who's been convicted of a felony involving moral turpitude may register or remain registered to vote except upon completion of the sentence. And so we still have yet to figure out what moral turpitude actually might be, and it is still in our state constitution. And so while our constitution says in paragraph 2, every person who is a citizen of the United States and a resident of Georgia as defined by law, I would think it would be the posture of just General Assembly that those who have paid their debt to society should absolutely have the opportunity to vote in elections, because many of those folks that have paid their debt to society are essentially falling under taxation without representation because they do not have the right to vote, and they have to go and secure a pardon to get their right to vote restored back to them. And so that is a much greater issue, where those folks are citizens of the United States and citizens of this state, and they're not allowed to participate in the democratic process of this state because the definition of moral turpitude bars them from doing that. So one of the other issues that I found in this resolution, and I draw your attention to line 17. It says photographic identification, the forms of which the General Assembly shall provide by law prior to casting a ballot in any election. And one of the reasons I'm fundamentally opposed to this change is, as the senator from the 27th alluded to, well, what happens if the minority party becomes the majority party? Well, then we could absolutely just go by general law and change the required identification because that is done by general law. We don't define what photographic identification will mean at this point in time. And so it could very much so be that if I decided to go buy a printer and print these badges with pictures and names on it, this would be allowable photographic ID, because this is an ID, it is photographical, and it bears information on it. And so then that would then be an acceptable form of ID. And so while I understand the intent of the resolution, it does not actually do enough. And in fact, it would put us in the posture where we could absolutely move to a banana republic. It's something that I know the senator from the 27th does not want, but it could very, very much so happen, because it says that the General Assembly shall provide by law prior to casting a ballot in any election what the photographic identification should be and could be and would be. And so therefore it would not be prudent of us to vote on this resolution today, because what if we decide before the election to change what photographic ID actually would be? We would be in the majority and we'd be convened before primary, and we decide that at the last minute we will change what that ID will be. Again, that will cause confusion in an election, because that will be a change before the election, and we have not prescribed in this Constitution, that is not included in this resolution, that certain changes to elections should not happen before the election is about to be called. And so if we're going to enshrine these protections in the Constitution, then we should do so wholly with intentionality and not be vague. And so the last question I would ask was, how will voters obtain one of what? One of whatever the photographic identification would be. And so as we know that there are barriers to get your birth certificate in this state. If you try to go get one, you got to be there at a certain day above a certain time. And if you lose the original one, thank God my mother kept my original birth certificate under the mattress in the envelope that she got when she first got it with my Social Security card. But if one was to lose that, how would they go and obtain that birth certificate to then go and get whatever this new ID would be? Would we prescribe those free? It doesn't say subject to appropriation. So these are just many issues with this resolution. And so, colleagues, I would urge you to vote no again, because this does not really do anything but move some words around, but it does codify that photographic identification, the forms of which the General Assembly shall provide by law, which is general law, prior to casting a ballot in any election. And so I just draw issue with that, and I think we should all have some consternation about that, because it is not defined. There's no definition to what photographic identification would mean and could mean. So therefore, colleagues, I urge your favorable consideration to vote no on this resolution, as it just moves some words around like monopoly pieces on a board. And if we wanted to do this, we would absolutely address those citizens of the United States that cannot vote, that should have the right to vote because they pay taxes. So therefore, we are ensuring that those returning citizens who paid their debt to society experience taxation without representation. And I know we all agree that that should not be happening in America, and certainly not in the state of Georgia. And so with that, Mr. President, I yield the well.